Merry Christmas to all. It's funny, I have a screen over here now that I see going live, and I need to stop it playing because it's going to distract me. Yeah, yeah. Merry Christmas. It's December 24th. It's uh, getting late in the year. Yeah, just it looks like my sound's going. Just let me know if there's any issues. Yeah, it's been an interesting year here in my corner of the world. You know, new to the channel here. Been for a few years here now. Sometimes very prolifically, other times a bit sporadically. Video. Uh, um, Chronicling, if that's a word. Been watching these back clips of $25,000 pyramid, like the bonus rounds, and they would get very creative to try and help steer somebody to the answer that is needed. And yeah, so video chronicling. I don't know if that's a word, but it seems like something that they might use as a clue to something. But that's what we've done here. You know, the hobby of sports simulation seems like it's still going fairly strong. I don't really check in a lot towards what's going on with YouTube in terms of like people I have subscribed to over the years. But it still seems like there's plenty of stuff going on. But and as far as what has mostly changed is that I just don't do as much of the video chronicling. If, again, the word. I don't know. Seems like there's a mantle that has been picked up by many other people, and so I'm just here having fun. There going to be a week. There'll be a week where I just don't really feel like playing anything, and then there'll be a week where I play 3 or 4 things in a row and be pretty chill with it. And I think that's probably what most people do in this kind of hobby is you know, they hit it hard for a while, they drop it for a while, they hit it hard again for a while, and then maybe, there are some times where it's a little more, keep it even keel, keep it sort of a moderate pace. But yeah, for me, it's just so there have been a couple things, I guess. What, as far as the video thing goes, one is this laptop. I don't know how the stream is looking right now. Probably fine. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's on its last legs, but for doing the type of stuff that I do, and it's warm down here. The dryer's going across the way. Turn off my heater. It's like I kept noticing as I was doing the live streams that it was lagging. There were at times little sound issues here and there, and just that's one thing that would come up is it just didn't seem like the performance I needed from this and so rather than fight it, I just said, you know what, I'll try it again one of these days, and it might be fine now. I think the last video was in August. I think this thing has fully gone over to Windows 11 since then. I don't know. Usually new versions of operating systems don't improve performance, but I'll be interested to see how this does. And I'm not switching back and forth between other windows, and I'm not running Excel in the background doing like all these macros and things like that. So that's working in its favor here. But I am going to be purchasing a new PC, probably a desktop. The laptop is nice for portability, but I don't know. that also tends to mean that it loses its, it becomes a little more obsolete more quickly. I think also with desktops, you can actually go in there and mod them fairly reasonably yourself. But, if I needed to switch out a video card or something like that, is it perfect now? I mean, will I probably be buying another one in 5 years? Probably. But that's sort of the way it goes. So maybe that will help get back to doing a little more video. I don't know. I don't want to say it's past. It's just things are different now. You start something and you think that you're fairly novel with it, and then you realize that you're not really all that novel with it. You're one of many who are, it's a big hobby, and it just makes you then start to think about where things stand with you, and what you're doing it for, what you want to get out of it, what you want to see accomplished. And I'm not sure that what I'm doing adds that much more to what others are doing. So that being said, there are times it's really fun. There are times where baseball games or golf tournaments or other types of sports, they do get exciting. It can make it more interesting to be narrating for other people. And so, that may... I still pay for this service. There's a couple things I'm paying for right now that I think to myself, I really should use. I pay for a blog. It's got stuff up there, but I don't really post to it. I pay for this software subscription that helps, basically port everything that gets fed into the computer to YouTube, and it most of the time talks with YouTube just fine. So, I'm invested in this stuff. I feel like I should use it. I also, want to be using it for the right reasons. Want to be using it to entertain you, entertain myself. Some of it's always been about, glimpses at possible strategic moments, but I don't know. Minute 38 who play the game and find what they're looking for. So, that's a lot of strategy and pensive moments about what am I really here to do? How can I accomplish the things that I want to accomplish? And the answer is I really don't know. I thought in the beginning that putting a lot of games out there would be the way to do it. I don't think it doesn't work. I'm just not sure it works in the way that I would hope it would, or whatever, so I still haven't gotten off the Diet Mountain Dew. Better than the Wild Turkey. Well, I don't know. I was really never much into Wild Turkey. Not much of a whiskey guy. Beer was all right with me, but well, anyway. Mostly been playing Football America. Football America is the fictional football companion to second season, and I've hit that hard. I think I'm over 3/4 of the way through the first season, which I've been doing this for like 5 years now. It seems like maybe 4, maybe 3. I don't know. I've lost track. These types of projects, when you take them a bit at a time, 1 week on, 1 week off, throw in a couple of other projects along the way, you don't make much progress. I feel like this is probably like cockeyed or something. That might be a little better. I don't know. Yeah, so that's kind of been going on. It's since it's fictional, kind of tough to get into a whole lot of granularity about what's going on with it. Um, I'm more interested to take the full season results and then look at, because in Football America, Keith from Play Games kind of gives a letter grade to each of the teams. It'll be interesting to see how it stacked up when all is said and done, as far as like did they sort of hit the tiers that he had scoped out for them. I've also well, the other thing I did with that is I added some extra injury stuff to that. I basically oh, there's my dog. Probably can't see her, but you might see her tail flash by. No, don't think so. Actually, she would have been over there. Over. Where is my camera? There we go. Over that way. She'll probably get up here in a second. Come here. Hey. She's a dummy. But she's loyal. Get up there. Get up there. Get up there. Come here. Come here. You gonna come here? Nah? Okay. Oh well. Too bad. You're not missing it too much. But she is sweet. Yeah, so I tried to with that Football America, since it's basically a free for all, right? I mean, you use their ratings, but I mean, theoretically you could trade players. It's not that easy to do it, but you can do it. But I decided that in the football world that I follow in real life here, these players go to training during the week, and invariably they pick up little injuries. So with the midweek, so I have midweek roles where from 2 to 4 players will get affected by them. Sometimes they make a full recovery and are ready to go. Sometimes they can miss up to 2 games because of it. There's also for the more skilled position players, there are some rating adjustments that go on in certain cases instead of plain old, needing to miss games. So. Yeah, I also created a bunch of players because, they give you sort of these quote unquote free agents. All football teams have a practice squad, and in the NFL at least, and so when you have these additional injuries, you kind of need to have players that are sort of replacement level that come in to fill in. And so that's kind of what I've done. I took the players that are sort of like their free agents, and then I created a bunch of other players that are all pretty like mediocre, but sort of tried to divvy them up as best I could with sort of a randomized draft sort of process to get them all on practice squads for each team, so that way, kind of fill out the whole 50. I guess it's 48 players on game day that are active, and then there are usually 7 that are inactive. It just better models that. It takes some extra time, but if you've followed the channel here for a while, you know that's sort of something that I kind of get off on is way too much way too much realism compared to the being streamlined. Just a minute. I'm going to close this door. Going back to the old carbonated water this time. But yeah, so it's been going pretty well. There's a couple real stinker teams in that. Um, the one is has no wins out of. Uh, guess I can look. Wife is over there getting her laundry, so but that's okay. Um, Trying to find my stuff here. Where, oh, where? There goes my dog barking outside. She's crazy. Um, oh my word. So if it starts messing up, it's because I'm opening up Excel, and like I said before, this computer is not so hot anymore. 0 and 12. 0 and 12. So one team is 2 and 11. Actually, they were both of those teams were no wins, and then they faced each other, and then that team actually picked up a second win, surprisingly. But again, I think part of that was because I've introduced the extra injury stuff, which led one of the teams to probably, I believe, to be missing their quarterback for that game, which, just like in the NFL, you missing your quarterback, it tends to cause a problem. So, trying to remember, did I? Okay, so I did do some of the Football League of the Americas games on the channel here, so that's Soccer Blast. Played a little bit of that. Haven't gotten too far into it. Probably will get it back out here in a day or two since I'm off for the holiday. It sort of gives a little bit of time for messing around with some of these things. What I have gotten out here more recently is back into golf, and it's funny because I don't think I had done that for maybe 6 months, and refreshing my memory on how kind of everything works. Also, the other thing is I've picked up some other tricks from. It's funny, each of the games that I play tend to have some automation that I've done through Excel. Excel is a pretty good method, especially if you're good with Visual Basic, to be able to get some automated stuff going, and to kind of help you along, and maybe speed it up a little bit. It doesn't speed it up a ton, but a little bit. But it's like every time I get a little farther in one of these other ones, it helps me then to go back and say, oh, I can use the learnings from that and do some other stuff in with this one. And so that's kind of what's happened with golf here. I've gained more and more confidence in my coding through Visual Basic to be able to do some other things. So still have some other things in the back of my head with the golf. It would be nice to that I think I've shown you the scorecard that I fill in the final round, where it uses macros to actually move the cursor or the highlighted cell as it goes, which it's a little tricky to do that, but with some ingenuity, it's probably fairly reasonable to do. Tribe, demos, Brandon, Dwayne, yeah, Merry Christmas, you all. Thank you for dropping by. Let's see. I've a couple of at-ba soccer games here and there. I got really ticked off with it's funny. I thought to myself, I can do another Phillies project. I just need to keep my brain on straight. And I don't know. I'm just not wired that way. So I've kind of set that aside and said, to heck with it. If I do baseball again, I'm going to do fictional kind of stuff, not like play fictional stuff. I just mean, the 10 team kind of leagues I used to do, where there's a lot less riding on it in terms of my own expectation. Really kind of stupid, but yeah. So a couple other things I wanted to say about golf. It's funny. This is season 4 of the golf tour, and 1 minute. Well, first off, wife is like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "It's kind of goofy." um, but and I think we all have a sense of humor about the stuff that we get into. But anyway, yeah. And then she's like, "Well, there's another bag up here," and it was some other little odds and ends. Actually, most of them are Santa for me, but yeah. Although, why? I guess Santa needs to stop by before tonight to pick them up. So, but anyway, there were a couple of other things in there too. So anyway, apologies for anyway. um, Golf. Oh yeah. So season 4. So season 2 is sort of like it was pretty interesting that there were a lot of there was this like momentum with one main golfer playing really well. And when I look back on it, it's because I pretty much used the base set the whole time. Didn't do any like didn't get worried about modeling the PGA Tour and how they have 30 some odd tournaments, and most players only play 15 to 20 of the best players that they take. um, they take sort of a we're only really worried about the best tournaments and not worried about the piddly guys unless they're either begging us or we're trying to tune up for another tournament or anyway. So I've gotten here to season 4, and the more that I've moved towards this more of a PGA model, it's like the it's tougher to get. Um, it's tougher to feel the momentum that was had before. But I will say I've played two here this week, two tournaments. I'm gonna play another one here shortly, and that one then leads up to the Masters, and that may be something if I do wrap my brain around streaming here before the holiday is over. Maybe I will show the Masters. We'll see. I don't want to like promise things, but anyway, I think I'm gonna try and grow a beard. I've never done it before. It's at the stage right now where it's little annoying. I'm hoping it'll go away soon. Not the hair, the state that the hair is in. But health-wise, things are okay. Life-wise, things are okay. Just a lot of busyness with work. I guess one thing I wanted to talk about when it came to the gaming thing and my philosophy of what I'm up to is this. I think I've talked some about this, but in the last few weeks I've mulled on it more, and I think what I like. So I like the computer gaming. I don't like. Well, how do I want to put it? There was a period of time where I thought to myself, I got into this to be rolling dice. And I do like rolling dice. But then as I've come up with these sort of helpers, I thought to myself, am I sort of like am I losing the spirit of what we are supposed to be doing here? I know that I've had followers when I first started that would have swear on, we're always going to use the dice. Always going to use the dice. Want to hear the sound of the dice. And I completely understand that. Uh-oh. I don't know. Maybe things are getting a little choppy there. But anyway. But I think what I've settled upon is that I like that I see it happening. If I go and play Madden, I don't know what they have coded in there that makes it so that you get a certain number of games streaky, and then it's like the degree of difficulty goes way, way up. That's... I think there are plenty of people who find that enjoyable. For some reason, I guess I have a tick in my personality that does not like that. Does not like to have it where I feel like I'm getting gamed. So I guess what I've found with these games mostly is that things are fairly predictable. I know most of the time what's going to happen. There's going to be some crazy stuff that happens. Don't get me wrong, but like I also am actively engaged with the process that is carrying it out. I know how I feel about what I'm doing. I know my mores, my principles, my beliefs. I feel like I'm looking away from the camera. Let me turn it down here like this. This may be a little better. Do this a little bit. And so I know that I'm not going to sit there and put my finger on the scale. And I don't have that confidence with some of the other games. And so I guess that's what I like about it. So if I go and incorporate programming, if I'm going to learn a programming language and I'm able to develop some kind of a way to streamline the process and improve the way that I'm playing the game. And it still keeps the spirit of the game. Doesn't like job the game or put it in a place that I don't feel like I can accurately talk about what's going on. Um, I think I'm all for it. That's where a long time ago I thought, well, I like the cadence of the dice, and I still do, and I don't blame anybody for feeling like I don't want to mess with a computer. I have to mess with a computer at work. I don't blame you if you have that feeling. I guess that's just so I've become a lot more at peace with myself as far as that goes. Saying to myself, there were times in the last couple of years where I had these sort of these helpers that made it a lot more digital and a lot less manual. And I thought to myself, am I going wrong? I guess is the way I felt it, and I don't think I have. I think we have to chase what we enjoy, and my personal feeling is one is that a computerized random number generator is going to be more well again, and maybe someday I will get super conspiratorial and say, what, that thing is screwing me, but I've seen it enough to know that it's pretty dang random. Probably more so than a die that you have no clue what is inside of it. I've pondered to myself what happens when you have a cold day. What happens to the dice? Your warm hand touches them in one spot or another. Does that bias it? I have no clue. Doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter, does it? But anyway, so I guess that's just where I'm laying as far as having a bunch of coding that's been implemented that helps me kind of get through things a little bit quicker, and it helps out a lot with the Soccer Blast because that game is fairly easy to code up some lookups to bring in the actual dice results, so you're not constantly looking at charts. That being said, I don't know. It's not always about that too. And I've thought to myself, I'm sure I could do that for golf. I don't know. That there's a lot of stuff in there's a lot of things to sort out when it comes to that. A lot of secondary roles and judging this and doing that, and I don't know. We just have to do what we're going to do there. But yeah, other than that, I haven't really. I have games I bought years ago that I haven't touched, and it makes me sad. But then again, I think when you find something that you like, you just go with it and don't get too worried about don't stress yourself out too much with money you've spent that maybe you don't feel like you're getting the most out of it. The payoff pitch card set will be good in 2 years if that's when I finally get around to messing with it. I started out, that this channel started out as Tenacious Strat. It was Stratomatic. I don't think I've played a Stratomatic game in maybe 3 years. So there's that. I don't know. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly what I wanted to accomplish by this, other than just to say Merry Christmas and let you guys know that I'm still simulating games. I'm still running leagues. I'm still working at it. have I slowed down a little bit? Yeah. Um, every hobby has its initial phase where it's kind of like um, kind of like you get that popcorn bag you throw in the microwave and it hits that first temperature. It takes a long time. I had heard about these types of things for a little while, and then you hit that energy where it all goes, and then you just boom, 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 and it kind of like goes right off. And so that's kind of like 6-7 years ago. That's what it was for me, and then you kind of get towards the end and trying not to have it where it completely is done, and then you start hitting that popcorn even harder in the microwave, and it starts turning to a flaming ball of popcorn. Um, don't want that. Um, taking the metaphor a little too far, but it's okay. It's still going fairly strong. It's not quite as vigorous as in the get-go, but I think we all have been there. And probably in the next year there'll be 3 or 4 other kinds of gamers, YouTube type people that come along and get gung-ho about it, and it's kind of the way that this thing goes. So a couple guys that commented here have channels that some have been going on for a long time, others not quite as long, but I mean they're all good guys, and just got to find the time to do what we love. And there'll probably be a time where I think to myself, I really want to stream more games and just smack the heck out of this channel and put a bunch more stuff on there. And maybe one big part of that will be getting new equipment that will get rid of one of the hurdles, which is I keep seeing up there's some dropped frames. I just I need some extra processing power. And but then again, another reason I'm getting that other machine is that I really want to do some things I used to do that have kind of fallen off, like flight simulation. I've bought a machine that I think will handle flight sim quite well, even with the graphics turned up. So that's something that I want to do and get back into some. So we have our likes, and we have families, we have work, we have lots of stuff to occupy our times. And there are times I miss this. There are times I'm quite happy to just be rolling games. And what I think I would like to do is really pick up more of the blog side of things, because that's something that can be done at a more leisurely gait. Like it's something that I could write, start a post, shut her down, come back later in the day if I get some more inspiration to write it out, and just be able to feed it that way. It might be better, and again, that's something I'm paying for. But and I don't know, maybe what I will end up doing is finding a way around this XSplit that I pay for the streaming. I know that there are free options. The trouble with the free options, there's usually some little logo or something that goes in there. But we'll see. Anyway, feel free to leave a comment if you have any questions, or you just want to mention what you've been doing of late in your projects. Anybody who's still hanging out, listening along to me warble on for a while, if you want to mention something you've been up to, that's fine. I'll be here another minute or 2 or 10. I don't know. Usually I think it's going to be a minute, and then it turns into 10. Sometimes I think 10-minute talk, and then it'll be 50. So, all in all, life is good. We're getting along. Another year by. It's just crazy. You know, one day you wake up and it's Easter. The next day you wake up, it seems like Christmas Eve. It's just these years fly by. You know, parents are getting older. Fortunate to still have both of mine. Looking forward to seeing them here in the next few days. In-laws moved closer, so we'll have stuff to do on Christmas for once. Usually it's just lounging around the house here and doing the gift thing with just us, but be nice to be able to spend some time with them. So, yeah, and just trying to blow off some steam, and maybe some of it will be a video on here. That would, I don't know. We'll see. I think if I can, part of it's mustering up the. I don't know. You have to be in the mindset to want to be. Like, you have to hand it to guys like Jim Nance and Gus Johnson and Burkhart and Joe Buck. These guys have called hundreds of thousands of games, and they still get on there on a Sunday and they just Al Michaels. I mean, granted, I think this year he's gotten a little bit of flack, but they're getting paid for it too, which makes it different. But they're always up for it, and just do a great job. And I think part of it can also be that with real sports, there's that's real life. This not so much. So you have to have this mentality that you are calling real life when it's there are going to be dozens or more, maybe hundreds of people who play the same game that you just played, and half of them are going to turn out the way yours did, the other half aren't. It's kind of the way these games end up going. So, I don't know what to say. I just hope you all are having have had a good year. I hope that your new year is really what you hope it to be. I don't know. I should be more happy-go-lucky. I would joke around a ton on these streams, and I guess I just I don't know. That probably should come up a little bit like that, actually. Maybe a little melancholy about things. Melancholy about not necessarily feeling as jazzed as I once did about doing these kinds of videos or doing videos of the sports games. There's a little bit of wistfulness of thinking to myself what once was, and I don't necessarily have it in the gut anymore. So, don't have to feel sorry for me. I'm not asking for that. Just being honest and letting you know where I stand, and maybe you'll be making a video soon, maybe not, but either way, I've appreciated getting to know a lot of people through this. I'd like to be supportive of everybody, and and if I hope I come off as that way for people. I don't know. Just been doing this quite a while. So anyway, I'm going to sign off here. But yeah, just again, hope you have a great Christmas. I hope you get a chance to spend time with family and to enjoy seeing your loved ones open some gifts, and just enjoy the spirit of being around others. And And most of all, you know, that you remember why we do this, even if Jesus was born a month or two ago or whatever. We celebrate it this time of year, and just be thankful that regardless of how we behave and how we disobey, how we run away at times from the Lord, that our debt's been paid. So I encourage you to run back. He's waiting, and just remember that that's the reason that we're celebrating Christmas, is to celebrate a Savior. So anyway, hope you all have a great holiday. Might see me later in the weekend. You just never know. Sometimes things crazier things have happened. So and maybe that's one of the things that I'm hoping for Christmas, is finding a renewed joy for this. We'll see. Anyway, Merry Christmas, and see you guys soon here on Tenacious Sports.